The other one is phosphate. Phosphate, single largest source, comes from China, but the Chinese have been restricting exports because they're now experiencing a nationwide outbreak of not mad cow, the other one, African swine fever, which is decimating their pork herds again. And phosphate is used for rice production. So for food security reasons, do not expect the Chinese to allow phosphate back onto the market. So we haven't hit it yet, thank God, but we are kind of seeing this building perfect storm where all three nutrients are available in lower volumes even before we have to deal with the effects of deglobalization. And if you're in a country like, say, Brazil, where you import 90% of your fertilizer and 3/4 of that comes from Russia, you're looking at a pretty problematic future in the not too distant future. I'm also a little concerned about South Asia, which also imports a lot of their fertilizers from this space. Sub-Saharan Africa, it's kind of a mix of the food and the fertilizer. And oh yeah, we're going to lose Ukraine probably this year as a significant agricultural exporter because the Russians are going to torpedo the grain deal very soon. And then only about 10 to 15% of Ukraine's grains can actually get railed out. And that might even be too optimistic. Mother Nature was very kind last year, and we had great weather in every agricultural zone in the world. That had never happened before. It may never happen again. So, good for what it is. Second, everyone had a bit of a reserve of fertilizer. And of all the sanctions and boycotts that have hit the Russian space so far, a lot of them had specific carve-outs for fertilizer and fertilizer inputs. And you even had the U.S. Department of Commerce issuing letters of comfort to shippers and buyers saying that Russian stuff is expressly exempted from all of the sanctions. And that kept some of the stuff flowing in a way that it wouldn't have otherwise. Now that we're a year on, we're seeing damage to that infrastructure, damage to that production capacity in the former Soviet Union. We'll never have that kind of weather again. But we do have a number of countries, Nigeria, Canada, Morocco, who have accelerated their plans to increase fertilizer output. In the United States, for nitrogen, we're doing the same thing. It's not enough. It's not fast enough. It can't be fast enough. Some of these things take 10 years to bring online. But the fact that people have seen the writing on the wall and are doing everything they can to increase supply while they can is a good sign. And every day that this stuff doesn't fall off in Ukraine and Russia is a day we have to try to bring on replacement supplies. One of the things that the Europeans absolutely got right about the sanctions regime is it's not about stopping the war. It's about cutting Russia out of the system at a pace that allows the rest of the world to adjust. Now, we're not done. We're not done by a long shot. But the fact that the world's largest commodities supplier is getting steadily gutted and we haven't had a commodity shock, we're living on borrowed time, but it's been a pretty good year, all things considered. Combination of retraining and subsidies programs to try to help with the industrial transition. So when this stuff really does all go away, you're not completely caught with your pants down like we were a year and a half ago. That can always go faster. It can always be more realistic, but the fact that it's happened at all, I think, is a great sign. In the United States, the thing that would help the most is building out processing capacity for any and all of the materials that are going to be necessary as we lose Russian and Chinese supplies. The Inflation Reduction Act, which is a stupid name for what it actually does, is actually our first step in that direction since the 1940s. And so it's inefficient and it's overly expensive and it's sloppy. But for the first time we've done it, it's not bad. About what's going on in the Russian space and where that leads, we are not seeing the same degree of forethought in the Chinese space. Now, yes, between COVID and Trump and now Biden, companies have come to the conclusion that China as a supplier of goods to the world is probably never going to regain the heights that they had. And most American investment specifically into the Chinese space today is about servicing the Chinese market. Most of that's going to be lost. And the sooner that we can start the adjustment to whatever's after China, the better. And as the Europeans have shown us, if you take steps early, you can reduce the shock. Where I'm not seeing a sufficient amount of preparation in China or among investors in China to get ready for that. So I think it's very likely that when China does go down, we're going to lose their processed materials and especially their electronics manufacturer more or less at the same time. And that's going to hurt like hell for everyone because that capacity just doesn't exist anywhere else right now. Oh, I'm not a financial guy, so let me just kind of give you the headline.
Yeah.
We're entering a world of capital shortage. The baby boomers are retiring globally. They're taking all their money with them. The next generation down, no matter where you are, no matter what country you're in, is smaller. So if capital is more expensive, it is going to be able to demand higher returns. So if you can hold on through this transition, we're going to go back to a world like we had in the 1980s, where your financial planner actually had to do work. Couldn't just throw money at these artificial, maybe AI-generated trading platforms or do high-frequency trading. It's going to be about the value. And honestly, I think we're about better set up for that even today. So if you do have capital, all you have to do is wait a couple of years and the market will take care of you. Not forecast. I don't think any of those are very likely. I'm trying to come up with something that might actually has a slight chance of actually happening. I could see France leaving the European Union.
Wow. Okay. We'll talk again. So
for them, it was always a political project, not an economic one. And clearly it's now starting to cause some economic pain.
Yeah. Actually,
is work and where that takes us. And I like to do it while I'm backpacking. So I need to get to a place where the world can't reach me. I spend at least 2 weeks backpacking every summer. I'm going to try to make that 6 this summer.
Okay. What was the most beautiful tour you did so far in your life?
Tour?
Yeah, backpacking tour. When you were backpacking.
Oh, well, that's easy. I mean, it's been a long time, but a place called Cascade Saddle in New Zealand. It has alpenglow, it has morning rainbows, and you are a vertical 1.5 kilometers directly above the valley floor. It's a straight drop down.
Okay, marvelous. So you like hiking a lot?
Absolutely.
Okay, have you been to the Alps or to Germany, to Europe?
I have not. I'm hoping to next summer.
Please, if you come, give me a buzz. I show you the most beautiful tours you can expect in Europe. Definitely.
Excellent.
We go for a hike, definitely. And I will crush you.
Probably.
Because I love backpacking as well. I've been to Corse and to Canada and Rocky Mountains everywhere. So anyhow, when can we expect your next book? Because I would like to talk to you again.
You know, my publisher is asking the same question. I do not have an answer.
He called me before we called. So he said, put him on pressure.
Mm-hmm. No, it's I've freed up a little bit of time, so I am noodling over some ideas, but I'm not there yet.
Okay. So if there's a new book, we definitely will talk again. But at the end, where can people learn more about you, please?
Everything is most easily accessible through the website, which is zeihan.com. That's where you can sign up for the newsletter. That's where you can sign up for the video log. And that's where all of the information about all of the books are.
And they should follow you on Twitter as well. I will put all the links in the show notes beneath this video. And I have to recommend these books again. The links are also below the video. Peter, it was mind-blowing. It was great picking your brain and your wisdom. It's always a pleasure talking to you and listening to you because you make it so easy actually to understand. And like I said before, I'm still mind blown that you were right with the war in the Ukraine. It's incredible how you nailed it.